the strategic infrastructure project linked to the MTDP in the bid to pursue an outcome-based and research-driven oversight, close collaboration and partnership with research and academic institutions, especially Chapter 9 and 10 institutions, will be pursued. The legislator's main outcome for the 7th term is to ensure a more accountable and responsive executive arm of the province. 2, the second pillar is improving public participation and innovation in the legislative process and activities. The main focus will be on mainstreaming constituency work in the oversight and lawmaking process of the legislature through implementation of the KZN public participation framework. Third pillar is the continued implementation of the KZN legislator digitation strategy as a tool of both modernizing the legislator and imposing institutional efficiencies. This will all be done within the context of maintaining a culture of a clean administration and good audit outcomes. The main challenge in achieving these targets and implementation of the strategy is the limitation of resources. The need to pursue improved institutionalized efficiencies is informed by this reality, emanating from a reduced budget baseline due to COVID-19 budget cuts. It is also for this reason that the administration continued to engage the provincial treasury for additional funding. Issues raised. First issue is the FMPPLA regulations, FAMPLA regulations. The Speaker advised the committee that the FAMPLA provides that the executive authority may issue regulations on a variety of matters, including asset management, supply chain management, writing off of debts, etc. This can only be done at the level of Parliament and has not been done since the coming into operation of FAMPLA. Draft regulations have finally been published, and the Speakers Forum had resolved that at its meeting in February 2025 that these be circulated to all legislators for their consideration and input by the 30th of April 2025. This consultation process is currently underway. The Speaker suggested that the committee also peruse the draft regulations and provide their input thereon. The committee agreed with this and advised that the draft regulations will be circulated to all members for their input to be submitted to the committee coordinator. Then, unauthorized, fruitless, irregular and wasteful expenditure. The committee expressed concern regarding the significant portion of fruitless expenditure arising from no-shows for accommodation on bookings made. The amount of 68,000 Rand is considered too high, especially given the current financial position of the legislator. The issue stems from a lack of accountability, with both members and staff having a shared responsibility in this matter. Staff must be ensured that booking confirmations are provided in a timely manner, while members are required to notify of any cancellations within the stipulated time frame to avoid unnecessary costs being incurred by the legislator. The reason for writing off fruitless and wasteful expenditure amounting of 68,000 Rand was questioned. The write-off was because some members were no longer employed by the legislator, and the 68,000 Rand is made up of smaller amounts, which will not make financial sense to approach the courts to recover them, as the legal costs will far exceed the amount to be recovered. The filling of vacant posts. The committee has requested that the process for filling research posts has been expedited, as these positions are crucial and directly impact on the core functions of the legislator. Additionally, the institution is urged to proceed with requesting additional funding for the remaining critical vacant posts, as these positions need to be filled promptly to ensure effective operation of the institution. Urgent meeting with the MEC for Finance, the committee recommended to schedule a special meeting with the MEC for Finance to formally address the concerns regarding the budget constraints faced by Vote 2. These constraints are negatively impacting on the performance of the legislator. The current budget allocation is primarily allocated to fixed costs, leaving insufficient resources to effectively carry out the core mandate of the legislator, which is oversight. Commonwealth Parliamentary Association funding. The KZN legislator was invited to apply to the CPA Capital Investment Fund for funding with a limit of 10,000 euros. That's 199,000 rand. The KZN legislator applied for 3 projects as follows: transcribing services to clear historical backlog of untranscribed debates emanating from vacancies not being filled due to financial constraints; 2, braille devices for members who have impaired vision; and lastly, automation of chambers fixed doors for ease of access for members who have movement limitations. The CPA has funded 1 project, which is to automate the fixed chamber doors, and the completion date for this project is a project to be by the end of December 2025. Budget presented. The proposed budget of vote number 2 for the 25-26 financial year is 850 million, which is allocated as follows: administration 263 million, parliamentary business 487 million, members remuneration 99 million. The additional request funding of 90 million versus actual allocation of 40 million is as follows: wage settlement of 20 million allocated, vacant funded post 21 million not allocated, 3 senior researchers and cluster manager 11 million, only allocated 4 million. Oversight committee 11 million not allocated, symposium 6 million not allocated, international and Africa tours.
Thank you so much, Honourable de Klerk. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Symposium 6 million not.
Honourable Chair. Thank you so much.
Can I proceed?
No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, honourable members. Order. Thank you so much, honourable members. We will now proceed to the substantive debate. The first honourable member is Honourable Seme from the MKP for 10 minutes. Order, honourable members.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Babu Patisid Kostilis Ndabezit, Honourable Progressive Caucus members, members at the gallery, members in the House, a very good morning. Honourable Speaker, drawing from the MK Party's core values, discipline, accountability, and a commitment to recentering South Africa on African culture and moral foundation, I'll speak boldly against the status quo and the coalition government failures. Honourable Speaker, honourable members, the people of KwaZulu-Natal, I stand here not for personal gain, but for the voiceless, for the marginalized and the depossessed. The MK Party, under the leadership of President Jacob Zuma, carries a spear of the nation, forged in struggles of our ancestors. We are here to dismantle a system that perpetuates inequality and the betrayal of dreams of 1994. I'll firstly start with cost cutting. With new emphasis on reviewing and reprioritizing savings, for what? What has happened to the prioritization? Has the review and evaluation been done to ensure that whatever new strategies will benefit the people of KZN? The enhancing of service delivery has always been a song sang by the corrupt ANC after seeing that people were now tuning in. They formed a new choir called the GPU, in which all those that are vocally wounded to the people of KZN would loudly sing with them and make these senseless noises. Which parts of service delivery will you enhance, and what strategies are in place? Theorizing the issue of alignment has done more harm in this province. We always see government department interfering with local spheres of government and also national working in silos as if we are at 3 different countries. The alignment issues has also raised and been almost all audits reports because we do as we please and we act out of ignorance as long as we feed our egos and political stupidity, it is okay. Whether people are benefiting or not, it does not matter. Omanpiga, banpigelana abantu emandleni. Njengoba senwabambe ngomshado onefindo eliqashu kanjalo nje nilibophe. It is a disgrace and it is disgusting to learn about the suspended millions while we have such backlogs. You ask yourself as to whether people know what is expected of them, or they are just enjoying statuses of being in offices and in high positions. Be reminded, we are here by people's vote. Abantu banamandla, watch the space. There is a requirement for an additional budget for more than 13 million that is mentioned in slide 14, Honorable Rogers. Yet in slide 2, it is said that the budget pressures were addressed. Who is being fooled here? Honorable Speaker, this so-called government of provincial unity comprises of DA, IFP, ANC, and NFP is a marriage of convenience, not conviction. They claim to protect the constitution, yet they shield the system that keeps our people in economic chains. The GPU boasts of doing what have they done for the unemployed youth of Umlazi? What have they done for the farmers in Upongolo? What have they done for the unity of our people in eThekwini with dirty water? Their unity is a facade to exclude the MK Party, which won 45% of vote in 2024, reflecting the true will of KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Speaker, on economic transformation, the ANC declined in KZN from ruling to a mere 18% of vote. It is a rejection of their failure to transformation of this economy. The MK Party demands land reformation, not promises. We call for expropriation of land without compensation to restore the dignity of our people and ensure that our people have access to agricultural land. The GPU policies cater to corporate interest while our rural community languish, and commanding heights of economy must not be in the hands of few white families, at least that shouldn't be allowed to find space in KZN. In retail industry, ocean economy, for example, Durban Harbour, Richards Bay Harbour's economy must be shared amongst people of KZN. We will not sit while foreign entities control our resources. KZN wealth must benefit its people first. Honorable Speaker, on traditional leadership, the lining of Amakosi in this province is a disgrace. The MK Party was built with blessings of traditional leaders. Yet the GPU ignores their role as custodians of our heritage. I echo Inkosi ubhekisizwe ngema's concerns. Promises made to Amakosi has been broken. We demand Council for Traditional Leaders operating under the office of President Jacob Zuma to ensure their voices shape our policies. The MK Party will not tolerate corruption unless others who sweep corruption, unlike others who sweep corruption under the rug. We will act decisively. The multiple cases that are in different municipalities with millions going missing, with no one being held accountable, namely KwaDukuza, Umhlatuz, where more than 60 million has gone missing to those municipalities. This shows a bizarre GPU and a counterproductive MEC of COCTA. The GPU is nothing but a collusion of thugs. Our focus remains on serving people and not on personal gains. Honorable Speaker, the MK Party is not here to play politics as usual. We are here to disrupt. We are here to demand accountability. We are here to build a KZN where every citizen strives. I challenge the GPU to table a budget that prioritizes free education. I challenge the GPU to table a budget that prioritizes health care. I challenge the GPU to table a budget that speaks directly to the rural and township development. And I challenge the GPU to table a budget that prioritizes industrialization for job creation and stop hiding behind collusion rhetoric and deliver. People of KZN are watching, and in 2026, they will judge you at the polls. In closing, Honorable Speaker, it is the spirit of in the spirit of Umkhonto weSizwe, we fight not to sit, but for justice, not for seat, but for justice. We stand firm against a system that betrays our liberation. The MK Party rejects this budget because we believe South Africans deserve better. We will continue to fight for real change, for meaningful development, and for government that truly serves the people of KwaZulu-Natal. The GPU can keep making excuses, but the people will not wait any longer. The time for change is now, and the MK Party is ready to lead this province. To the people of KwaZulu-Natal, your vote for MK Party was a call for change. We hear you, and we will not rest until your dreams are reality. Amandla!
Thank you, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 10 minutes from the IFP, Honorable MP Gwala.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable MECs, Honorable members of this House, our guests, all protocol observed. IsiZulu sithi kulele kunye ukuba kubili ngabe kuyavusana uma usathane eshumayeza abantu.
Sorry, Honorable Gwala.
Ukuba bakholwe
Gwala.
inkosi
Honorable
uJesu.
Gwala. Honorable members, please can you respect the House and not bang on the furniture? We are allowed to debate, but debate with decorum in the House. Thank you. Honorable Gwala.
Yo. Usathane eshumayeza abantu ukuba bakholwe inkosi uJesu. Kumele ubaleke kakhulu uzephule. The IFP stands firm in its belief that synergy and alignment between the government of national unity and the government of provincial unity is essential for the realization of impactful, people-centered governance. Even under the weight of stringent fiscal constraints and dwindling resources, we must act in unison to restore the trust and well-being of our citizens. The IFP has always stood for governance that is accountable, transparent, and ethical. We do not seek power for power's sake. We seek it to serve. I rise in this budget debate not to criticize blindly, but to contribute constructively to the improvement of our province and, by extension, the lives of our people. The Treasury bears the heavy burden of distributing limited funds across numerous demands. But we must ask, why after 30 years in democracy do so many of our communities still suffer under the weight of poverty, unemployment, and underdevelopment? Budget limitations are part of the story, but the deeper issue is institutional inefficiency. Many provincial departments are unable to plan, implement, and monitor public investment projects effectively. Government capacity to equitably distribute developmental benefits is hamstrung by poor planning and often by a lack of will. Transparency and accountability, though enshrined in the legislation, are frequently ignored in practice. Let us not mince words. Corruption continues to bleed the public purse. While the current government is working to root out this scourge, the IFP believes it is time for a governance renaissance. A government is working to root out this scourge. The IFP believes it is time for a governance renaissance. We must go beyond policies and frameworks. We must create a living culture of accountability. We need to robust codes of conduct, empowered internal auditors, real-time evaluations, and protected whistleblowers. Let government be a living ethic, not a dead letter. We have legislation, the PFMA, MFMA, and Treasury regulations, yet implementation remains dismal. Too many departments become serial offenders, appearing before the legislature year after year with the same audit disclaimers, the same reckless financial mismanagement, and the same tired excuses. This cycle of impunity must end. Department must be reminded, we are not dealing with abstract numbers. We are talking about public funds entrusted to the state to serve the people. Every rand misspent or accounted for is a stolen opportunity to improve lives. Scopa reports are not decorative documents. They must be enforced, monitored, and followed through with concrete action. Non-compliance with Auditor General's finding must trigger real consequences, immediate, enforceable, and both administrative and legal. Accountability is not optional. It is a constitutional obligation. A pervasive culture of non-compliance is poisoning public administration. Where is the accountability for persistent transgressors? Where is the consequence management? Too many departments still treat internal audit as optimal. Too many officials treat financial regulation as a suggestion, not an obligation. This is not miscommunication. It is a deliberate neglect. All departments are compelled by law to have fully functional, well-resourced internal audit unit, yet time and time again, departments that receive disclaimers or qualified audit opinions are the very ones with neglected or underfunded audit team. This must change. Accounting officers must be held directly responsible for failures in audit performance. We must build a culture where audit findings are met with immediate remedial action, not bureaucratic indifference. The legislature must intensify its oversight. We must wield our constitutional authority with courage. We must demand compliance. We must hold leadership accountable. Without enforcement, accountability is fiction. Let me turn to water issue. In one of the most staggering failures in recent years, 15 million rand worth of water pipes were found dammed in Mkhanyagut. Tenders for water supply were awarded to unqualified companies, while communities remain dry and desperate. Infrastructure is collapsing, maintenance is non-existent, and millions are denied their right to basic water services. This is a humanitarian crisis, and it is unforgettable. We must appoint technically qualified professionals in municipalities, people with expertise and political will to deliver, maintain and report on essential services. Unemployment remains another devastating challenge. Department receive grant funding earmarked for job creation, yet the result is often short-term, low impact contracts that do not lift families out of poverty. The IFP insists that employment strategies must focus on permanence, skill development, and long-term economic integration. We must not depend on a 3-month contract job. We acknowledge that the current administration is striving to create a conducive environment for economic growth and investor confidence, but this work must accelerate. To rebuild, we must fill all vacant posts with qualified, competent, and ethical individuals. No more cadre deployment, no more nepotism, no more tolerance for mediocrity. The government has received a renewed mandate. Now it must act decisively. I can stop here because I'll come up again, speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bala. Thank you. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members from the MK, please can you keep down? Sorry, honorable members, I'd like to just remind honorable members from both sides of the House that there's not allowed to be eating and drinking in the House, only water. So if anyone's having something, if you'd like some tea or coffee, there's the members' dining hall that you are more than welcome to come and drink from. Honorable members, I didn't point at anybody. I said both from the sides. Thank you. Honorable members, we may proceed. The next honorable member for 5 minutes. Honorable members. The next honorable members for 5 minutes from the ANC, Honorable CQ Madlop. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier and Leader of Government Business, honorable members, as we approach Freedom Day on the 27th of April 2025, we are reminded that our democracy was not gifted to us. It was earned through sacrifice, struggle, and the unbreakable spirit of the people of South Africa. Honorable Speaker, today we rise in this House to honor not only the icons of our liberation, but the countless unsung heroes and heroines, our community organizers, teachers, nurses, and youth who build this democracy from the ground up. We salute them. Honorable Speaker, KwaZulu-Natal has faced immense challenges over the past few years. The COVID-19 pandemic cost our province over 250 jobs. The 2022 floods caused damages estimated at over 17 billion. And the July 2021 unrest left over 20 billion worth of destruction in infrastructure and businesses. Honorable Speaker, these events not only disrupted economic activities, but worsened poverty and inequality in our province. But despite this setback, this 2025 budget speech by Minister Enoch Godongwane reflects bold and responsive leadership. It demonstrates that the ANC-led government remains committed to the building a caring and capable state. We particularly welcome the following allocation: an additional 27.3 billion for basic education nationally over the MTEF, ensuring that learning continues in well-resourced and safer environments. Honorable Speaker, an extra 11.6 billion for health, strengthening provincial health services, staffing, and infrastructure. A crucial 7.4 billion boost for the Department of Social Development, ensuring food relief, shelter, and support to orphans and vulnerable children are sustained. These are not random figures. They are a manifestation of the ANC manifesto, the resolutions of the ANC committees on education and health, and our ready-to-govern document in motion. This budget confirms that the ANC remains true to its core mission to restore the dignity of our people. For KwaZulu-Natal specifically, we note with appreciation that our provincial equitable share has grown from 144 billion in 2024-25 to 151.6 billion in 25-26, reflecting a commitment to assist provinces in meeting the demand for services, especially in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. But we must go further, honorable members. We must use these funds effectively. We must spend them on people, not perks. We must spend them on service delivery, not slogans. Honorable Speaker, the high cost of living remains a pressing concern. The ANC has called for interventions to lower food prices, protect incomes, and expand job opportunities, especially for youth. As the Chairperson of Finance has indicated, that there is an amount that has been given for assistant teachers. The extension of the SRD grant until March 2026, benefiting over 8.5 million South Africans, is a decisive step in this regard. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, I rise in this House to really support this budget. We know that when our MEC for Finance was tabling the budget, also indicated that the gaps that has been widened by the unfunded mandate is now going to be reduced, although it still has a negative effect for the future. Honorable Chair, as we tackle economic recovery and social transformation together, let us build a KwaZulu-Natal that works for the people, all the people of KwaZulu-Natal, but not the few. And we must not grandstand in this platform, because the people of KwaZulu-Natal are really, expecting us as honorable members to just focus on something that will really assist them. Because we have got also the rising. Honorable Speaker, we must wait. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Madlopa. The next honorable member for 9 minutes from the Democratic Alliance, Honorable T.J. Brautiseth.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, thank you. Honourable Premier, Honourable MECs, Honourable Members. I greet the House today with the fantastic news of the reversal of the VAT hike. I would like to sincerely thank the Minister of Finance for this decision. But I must also commend the Democratic Alliance for its resolute stance on this thorny issue, both in Parliament and in court. Sanity has indeed prevailed, which is good news for all South Africans. It has prevailed despite the naive meanderings of inexperienced MPs from tiny parties, who really should leave complex financial and parliamentary processes to MPs there who really do know what they're talking about. But anyway, we are here today. I'm not mentioning any names, I'm sure others will. We're here today to debate the budget.
Order, honourable members.
And of course, I always have to come at a budget from my job point of view, scoper, and we have to look at what's problematic. But let's look at the positives first. We must welcome the excellent work of the MEC of Finance in fighting for a fairer portion of the national equitable share. Indeed, we must welcome the fact that the provincial equitable share increases over the MTEF by 1.7 billion, 2.3 billion, and 3.1 billion. Data updates of the provincial equitable formula results in increases of 555 million, 1.4 billion, and 2.1 billion over the MTF. It is significant to note, as pointed out by my finance chair, this marks a groundbreaking milestone. The first time in 10 years that the equitable share has properly favoured KZN. I'm confident that the people of KZN will look at this and say, yo, le GPU iyasabenza. Siyayithanda kakhulu. Now we come to Honourable Seme. I'm not sure about your maths qualifications, my sister, but the people
Honourable
of KZN will also
Honourable
be...
Brautiseth,
Yes?
please can you refer to me, not to a member directly? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Through you to the Honourable Seme, I'm not sure about the maths qualifications, because my maths tells me that this budget has dedicated 79.9% of the current 158 billion to health, education, and social development. The last time I checked, that's a pro-poor budget, not a neoliberal budget. And so this reality blows the MKP and Ubaba out of the populist shower they found so comfortable. Indeed, it is this government that, despite tough financial circumstances, really cares for the people of our province. The allocation to infrastructure to bear this out is 18.2 billion. And where's that infrastructure build going? Transport, human settlements, education and health. Pro-poor budget. These funds will enable maintenance, refurbishment, upgrades and additions. Again, let GPU, IASA bans. However, and this is where we come to the other side of things, the GPU is not blind to the challenges facing the province. Asizona is in Pumputa, Siyazibona is in Kinga. We are not blind to these things. Hey, my Zulu, sure, ngiyafundo manje. We have to continue to be obsessive about solid financial governance in our province where budgets are still tight. My role in the legislature is to fight for levels of good governance. Through the excellent work of the Finance Committee under Honourable Gungwana and the Scopa Committees, many areas of concern have been identified as we traverse the year ahead. The Finance Committee has identified the following issues that must be urgently addressed. The Zulu Royal Household Trust must urgently appoint a board and finalise its commercialisation plans. The Departments of Education and Public Works must urgently reach a resolution on infrastructure projects. The Department of Education faces severe COE challenges, and to mitigate this must urgently conduct a staff verification exercise to contain costs. The Department of Education, again, must also rein in unauthorised expenditure of over 1 billion rand. Community safety must urgently conduct assessment of its structures, many of which have been non-functional for over 5 years. The Department of Health must urgently address the issue of sufficient EMRS services through possible private-public partnerships, as well as the urgent need for the digitisation of patient records to mitigate against medico-legal claims. Sports, arts and culture must urgently fill the 56 vacant but funded posts within its organisation. Provincial Treasury must urgently finalise the issue of security for Itala SOC depositors in order to enable loan, interest, insurance and development funding to be available to the entity for their survival. The Department of Health must urgently control irregular or unauthorised, fruitless and wasteful expenditure and pursue effective consequence management. Accounting officers, together with senior management, should regularly monitor the effectiveness of preventative measures to improve the overall control environment. The provincial legislature should provide effective oversight to the provincial government and should hold leadership accountable for underperformance and non-compliance. The introduction of departmental dashboards by Provincial Treasury will greatly improve this oversight function. These joint efforts will contribute significantly to the province fulfilling its mandate and improving the quality of life and its people. The Government of Provincial Unity has made remarkable progress in the 7th administration. We began with a deficit of 9 billion rand, and it's been reduced to 4.5 billion rand. That deserves a round of applause. The Provincial Treasury will continue in this trend with groundbreaking initiatives such as the e-procurement services, which will no doubt lead to massive savings across the provincial government. The GPU has welcomed its partners who are steeped in the tradition of good governance. The GPU has welcomed the expertise available and has shown that it is willing to take decisive action against offenders when necessary. The electorate of KZN have placed the solemn responsibility on our shoulders. I'm confident that with this budget and a firm commitment to good governance, this government can take bold steps into the future and achieve the prosperity and dignity that our citizens deserve. We will continue to fight for this, and we will not step back. We are resolute. Siyabangena. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Brataseth. Honourable members, the next honourable member for 6 minutes from the MKP, Honourable C.T. Kanye.
Madam Speaker, ngiyakubingelela. Ngibingelele uPresident wethu Baba Nxamalala. Ngibingelele inkosi yasemadungweni inkosi ubaba uChiliza. Ngibingelele amalungu omkhonto wesizwe wonke abahlonishwa esizabalaza nabo ekubuyiseni isithunzi somuntu omnyama. Bese ngibingelela iGPU ngokuhlala kwayo kwesokudla. Before anything else, I just want to highlight this. I am standing here representing millions of citizens of KwaZulu-Natal who are crying and feeling the betrayal by the selfish government of this country. This government decided to be selfish and took a painful decision that was going to depress our poor communities further. The increase in VAT was going to destroy millions of our people. So umkhonto wesizwe sasivele singavumelani inhlobo nalento yokwenyuswa kweVAT. Sekubuhlungu manje ukuthi abakakhongoloze sebeze bavuswe iDA emaqandeni. Yize singavumelani inhlobo neDA kodwa thina besivele simile ekutheni lento yentela enyuswa ikuhlukumeza abantu abahlwempu. Well, benizoba nendaba kanjani nabantu abangenivotelanga. I'm happy to say MK is on the side of the poor South Africans, and we will always remain on this side of societal spectrum. Honorable Speaker, one of the core functions of Treasury and Finance Department is generally managing and optimizing financial resources, which all includes preparing and managing the budgets. Now the big question is, how far are you from achieving that? The KZN departments are a disaster, and it is disappointing to witness it, always running out of funds, which disturbs them from functioning properly. There is a lack of clear prioritization of citizens. The budget failed to clearly prioritize spending on South African citizens, potentially benefiting undocumented individuals. When one looks at the way the budgets are cut, it clearly shows that the government of provincial unity was not the will of the people, but the will of the stolen Posh Mafia, of which they are all about making sure that the poorer gets more poor and the richer gets richer every day. Madam Speaker, the Department of Education has had crisis for the past 5 years. The budget is always cut down, and who suffers at the end of the day is the black child. The 66 billion given to the Department of Education is not adequate. This year, we had schools that struggled to receive stationery because of the department had no funds. Kumanje, kuno supplier ababopha i-department ngoba abayikhokhelwe. Ezemfundo isibani sesizwe, kodwa kubukeka ngathi lo hulumeni ucindezela impumelelo yomuntu omnyama. The Department of Health was given more budget than the Department of Education. However, even the budget is just not enough for the department and the issues surrounding the health sector in the province. Umnyango wezempilo awunawo ama-ambulance anele angakwazi kumelana nomphakathi waKwaZulu-Natal. On a population of 12 million, the Department of Health needs about 1,000 ambulances to keep up with the abahlali base KZN. And you can clearly see ukuthi there is no proper plan. GPU, KZN has about 200 ambulances, and 50% of those ambulances they are due to be scrapped. The department not long ago was short of tablets and medicine in some hospitals because of lack of funds. Comes the budget of GNU is not enough again. Again, this is a critical department that's supposed to be prioritized. Kuhlukumezeka abantu bakithi. Department of Agriculture again, isabelo mali sakhona asisijabulelanga. Agriculture department okumele ibhekeleleke ngoba ukuphila kwabantu bakithi kuukulima nasemhlabathini. Madam Speaker, the other day as Finance Committee, we were visited by the Itala board. It was disappointing to hear those guys mumbling when they were asked, when we asked them about the plan of action to save Itala from liquidation. Again, IGANU, GNU, GPU didn't cater for saving ibhange labantu bakithi. How on earth will you have government that will say we can assist you, but
Siyabonga, Honorable Kanyele. Thank you, honorable members. The next honorable member for 6 minutes from the EFF is Honorable M.W. Twala. Honorable Twala. Thank you. Is it possible to put the volume up as well?
I'm sorry that it's cut
As ham is cut sako, Honorable Twala. Honorable Twala, as ham is cut sako, we just want to make sure that you are audible. Or just put it a bit closer to you. Siya struggle shuguz. You may continue. Thank you.
The Economic Freedom Fighters has declared the month of April as a month where it intensifies its fight for the return of our stolen land. As the EFF, we are proud to say that on the 28th of April, we are waging a war against Ismangaliso, wetland properties illegally dispossessed our people and black farmers of their land. We invite all interested parties to join us as the struggle against colonial dispossession continues. The Economic Freedom Fighter stands before this House not to rubber stamp mediocrity, but to expose and reject 2025-26 KwaZulu-NATAL provincial budget that perpetuates underdevelopment, inequality, and dependency. We, however, welcome the additional funding from the National Treasury that has been allocated to the Department of Education as well as human settlements in this province. We hope that these monies will be safeguarded and utilized accordingly, given the challenges faced by these departments, particularly the Department of Education, whose situation is so dire right now that in the absence of a contingency plan, 19,000 teachers run the risk of losing their jobs. And furthermore, the department might not be able to pay salaries of more than 2,000 teachers in the current financial year. The provincial budget projects a total budget of 158 billion, of which 80.7% comes from the equitable share. 16.6% comes from conditional grants. Only 4.2 billion, which is 2%, comes from own revenue. This illustrates a severe incapacity to generate independent income. This over-dependence on national transfers signals a weak provincial economy. Year after year, KZN fails to diversify its revenue base or uses strategic assets such as land, minerals, ports, and agriculture to create sustainable income. In 2015-2016, KZN generated 3.1 billion in own revenue. A decade later, only our own revenue grew by 6.5%, barely above inflation, despite economic potential. Where is the plan to build fiscal sovereignty? We should be investing in agro-industrial zones to foster economic development, job creation and food security. State-owned factories and transport entities, leasing public land for productive use, state-owned construction company and abolish tenders, provincial banks and manufacturing hubs. Without this, we remain beggars in our province. Municipal grants and underspending and mismanagement of grants. It is an insult to the people of KZN that 25 municipalities, 16 of those are IFP municipalities, fail to spend their conditional grants in full allocated by provincial treasury. Unomasipala kulesi sifundazwe lapho khona bephucwe imali elinganiselwa ku-15 million. Now umasipala ofana nowasemsunduzi. These are the same municipalities that are grappling with water infrastructure and electricity infrastructure crisis. Others have already incurred expenditure but cannot reimburse the grant funding, leading to audit irregularities and service delivery backlog. An estimated 861 million in unspent or misused conditional grant is currently under review. The EFF is demanding immediate provincial intervention under Section 139. Municipalities like Umtubatuba, municipalities like Umhlatuza, municipalities like Newcastle, which are repeatedly offenders municipalities. A forensic audit on all conditional grant transactions from 2020 to 2024. The EFF demands to prioritize job creation sector, support local manufacturing and black industrialists and township enterprises, establish a KZN state-owned construction company to absorb unemployment artisans and engineers. The Department of Health is allocated 56.2 billion, accounting to 37.9 provincial budget. Yet we have a broken system where there is a shortage of medication and dilapidated healthcare facilities. Over 35% of clinics in rural areas lack basic infrastructure like running water. Over 3.9 billion was lost to accruals, litigations, and medical legal claims in the Department of Health. We are demanding as the EFF that there should be audit on all healthcare consultants and in-source all non-core services. Launch a provincial pharmaceutical manufacturing entity. In-source all security guards, catering and maintenance services to save monies which are lost with these corrupt tenders that are given to friends. The education budget stands at 66.6 billion, about 42% of total spending. However, over 1,300 schools still use pit latrines. Only 11% of schools in rural areas have functional computer labs.
Thank you so much, Honorable Twala. Thank you. Your time has come to an end. Thank you. Thank you. Can we mute him? Thanks. Can we please mute Honorable Twala? Can we please? Honorable Twala. Is he muted? Thank you. The next honorable member for 6 minutes from the NFP, Honorable CM Shinga.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker of the House, Honorable Boyce, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Hlonishwa Mabatho Tembe, the Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, honorable members, the citizens of KwaZulu-Natal, sanibonani. Ngiyabonga ithuba ukuthi ngikhulume namhlanje egameni le-National Freedom Party. As we rise to engage in this general debate and vote on the reports of the Finance Portfolio Committee and the Standing Committee on Oversight, We do so understanding that this moment defines the trajectory of service delivery in our province. Honorable Deputy Speaker, while we welcome the increase in the provincial equitable share, 1.735 billion to 2.348 billion and 3.109 billion across MTEF, it is sobering to note that the fiscal wounds of historical budget cuts remain fresh. Departments have lost over 25 billion cumulatively since 2021-2022, and yet we are expected to deliver more with less. What is evident in this budget process is that despite improved fiscal framework, the province's financial oxygen remains constrained. A glaring example is the 12.6 billion in additional budget requests from department for 2025-2026. Only a fraction of this was met. The imbalance between need and allocation remains a deep concern, and it is here that bold decisions must be made. On infrastructure investment, a strategic imperative. While 18.2 billion has been allocated for infrastructure, it is disheartening that most of this funding is earmarked for maintenance and refurbishment. Honorable members, our communities do not live in theoretical budget. They live with leaking ceilings in school, collapsing roads, and clinics without proper sanitation. As the NFP, we call for a targeted ring fencing of at least 30% of infrastructure budget towards new development in underserved districts. A provincial audit of infrastructure delays and sabotage, particularly where previously disadvantaged contractors are penalized for system failures. Sithi ke uhulumeni kumele avumele abathintekayo ukuthi babe yingxenye yezenzo zentuthuko, bangabi ihambeli eyibukela kude. Umnotho womphakathi mawuzuzise wonke umuntu, hayi inhlaka ezimbalwa. Maximizing the budget through innovation. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we support the introduction of and expansion of e-governance and digital solutions as evidenced in the Department of Health's e-health rollout. However, we urge a transversal digital integration strategy across departments, not pilots only. Quarterly reporting on implementation costs, efficiency gains, and long-term cost-saving benefits. Furthermore, the Provincial Treasury should expand its public-private partnership framework, especially for departments like health and transport. As the NFP, we support public-private partnerships that empower local SMMEs, not just entrench monopolies. Addressing the wage pressures and fiscal honesty, the province is commended for securing 918.6 million to 1 billion in wage gap funding over the MTEF. However, many departments failed to budget even for the initial 4.6 increase. The NFP then recommends an urgent provincial wage risk register to preempt future unfunded mandates, that the departments be held accountable for failing to adhere to national wage planning benchmarks. Honorable Speaker, oversight must be more than a post-mortem. We must prevent fiscal homage. For an example, education incurred over 1 billion in unauthorized expenditure last year. The Department of Arts and Culture sits with 56 funded vacant posts. How can we speak of job creation when we don't fill available vacancies? While we note the decline in provincial owned revenue due to decreased health patient fees and treasury interest earning, the Department of Transport's innovation through abnormal load permits shows what can be done. We urge other departments to explore revenue streams aligned with service delivery, such as digital license renewal, heritage tourism levies, and infrastructure-linked user fees. Strategic budget realignment sithi ngaba kuhle uma isabelo mali sihunyushwa ngokoqobo kubantu hayi ukuthi sibakhulumele kodwa sibazise ukuthi imali ifika kanjani emphakathini yabo. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, as the National Freedom Party, we do not oppose this budget blindly. We support it with a sharpened eye, vigilant hand, and a commitment to push for bold, just, and people-driven reforms. Ngiyabonga kakhulu mayithuthuke KwaZulu-Natal ngengqalasizinda nentuthuko. Thank you,
Thank you
Honorable
so
Deputy
much,
Speaker.
Honorable Shinga. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 4 minutes from the MKP, Honorable SP Seme.
Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Ndabezit, sanbonani. Honorable Speaker, it's in Kumbuz Babkwala through you, Honorable Speaker. Babu, opposition party phela. Musukuletha indaba zasekamereni kuthina baba sixoxeni khona. Mase niyazi implement. Honorable Speaker, let me remind this GPU that we do not form part of it and we certainly will never. They mustn't come here and seek solutions from us, no. Let me remind you, wonderful GPUs, that you were the very same people who voted for the budget last year when we rejected it. Sikulo lubisha school nje namhlanje ngenxa yenu. Namanje ni business asisupport le nsambatheko. The next financial year, you'll be standing here singing the very same song we abhorred. Honorable Madlopa, through you, Honorable Speaker, do not think of yourself now. Think of your next generation. Honorable. DA claiming victory on reverse verts. You such a low party for that noise. Let's be honest, Honorable Brethesel, the noise was made by the MK party. That is not your celebration. That is not for you to celebrate. It's victory for the MK party. Honorable Brethesel, for your information, I have an MPA, something you'll never have. Kulate. In closing, Honorable Speaker, I have an MPA, something you'll never have. Kulate. In closing, Honorable Speaker, ngabe ngenza iphutha if I leave this podium without congratulating the MKP for winning by election. It is true reflection that in May, to the people of KwaZulu-Natal, continue voting. Victory is certain. Maibu, yeah!
Thank you so much, honorable members. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 3 minutes from the Democratic Alliance, Honorable Aikika. Honorable members, please order. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and greetings to the honorable members. The DA welcomes the no VAT increase decision. The stance of the DA in KZN through the Honorable Rogers in the NCOP and through our colleagues in the National Assembly and to our legal team, through our colleagues, through all of this, we see a decisive victory for all South Africans, a sign of solidarity with the poor, and a demonstration of a strong democracy and systems. At every step of the way, if MK didn't know, the DA fought this from the cabinet table right to the courtroom. The Honorable Brauteset was a little bit polite. He didn't mention the smaller Nyana parties. However, I would like to remind members that the judge in her discussions in court mentioned Action SA specifically and called them naive. I call them green, as they are behind the ears. We have already agreed with the contents of the stack of report presented by the chairperson, and there is no need to rehash all of that. And it would be unwise of the DA to say that, to redo that. Suffice to remind members of the opposition, in the words of Walter Lippmann, that in a democracy, the opposition is not only tolerated as constitutional, but must be maintained because it is indispensable. The caveat is that the DA avers this, that it must be functional. So I think the Honorable Seme has it all wrong when she says she will not come here with solutions, because that is indeed the work of the opposition. What it means to be the opposition is well known by the DA. We've served in this House on those benches for a long time. And for those honorable members sitting on this side of the House, they must pay attention to that recording of Zuma that was made public when he says that he doesn't want to govern KZN. Yet some still come here and still have wet dreams about wanting to govern this province. It's a very good idea for them to be on the same page as him, given that you are already divided on how you are presenting yourself in this House today. The work of committees is anchored on oversight of the executive, and in as much as we gloss over their mission statements and values of the department as and whenever they present to us, it is very much this fundamental part that must be concentrated upon. Honorable members, I have been made aware that on the opposition benches on 2 separate occasions, there is a member that has sought accommodation, booked into the hotel, arrived and checked in, and then did not attend the meetings. We must name and shame these parties at some point. This is a matter that incurs irregular expenditure for committees that have already overspent
Thank you so much, Dr.
their
Kika.
budget.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 7 minutes from the African National Congress, Honorable S.A. Duma. Tumbeni.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, for affording us this opportunity. That's also great the Speaker of our legislature, Khubela, Honorable Premier Pele, Honorable members who are in this August House. I stand before the honorable members inspired by the progress we have made as a province and the country as a whole over the last 30 years, Honorable Speaker. We attribute this progress to the blueprint for a democratic South Africa, better known as the Freedom Charter. We wouldn't be here if 3,000 heroes and heroines, all in the national groups, did not gather together in Cape Town in 1955 to reject the apartheid regime, to pronounce the whole world their views on what a freedom democratic South Africa should look like. Amongst other things, they garnered and say the people shall govern. Indeed, we are here in echoing almost even different circumstances and sentiments because they had to fight for that democratic country, irrespective whether we are a worker, a mine worker, domestic worker, factory workers, farm workers, students, traditional leaders, people of all religious groups. They had to be defended. Importantly, the occasion of the adoption of the Freedom Charter marked by awarding the Order of Isandlwane to Inkosi Albert Mvumbi Luthuli, Dr. Yusuf Dati, and Father Trevor Huddleston. As we stand here, Honorable Speaker, today celebrating 70 years since the adoption of the Freedom Charter, we have service delivery programs that are based on the key aspect of the Freedom Charter. Amongst other elements is the National Health Insurance, which is aimed at ensuring that ordinary members, because when we debate the budget, we must always encapsulate within our minds that at the end of the day, we stand here, 80 of us, for the benefit of our people, not just for our dress, not for our suits and all those things. The issue of education as a sector, it must be prioritized, and the sacrosanct element, which at the end of the day is going to liberate an African child, even in rural areas. KwaZulu-Natal has been producing excellent matric results and producing highest number of bachelors as a result of this August House and what has been done by this government. And so those are the things that we must just stand. Honorable Speaker, must highlight, yes, there is a vet saga. I think I must just accept it. And it must always be noted in regard and in retrospect, this is not the means to an end. And it must be understood within the context of the poor and who really suffered in defense of the vulnerable, as opposed to the armchair critics who are hell-bent in false marketing of the wrong brands and pseudo-caring elements. Just imagine a viewer and someone who's at home online hearing the noise that who made a better noise on the issue of VETSACA as opposed who is giving us an analogy of a good branded KwaZulu-Natal. Imagine our kids watching these debates at home. We have implemented measures to massify our TVET college system towards the goal of 2.5 million enrollment in this sector. Honorable Speaker, I just have to highlight, we have a school nutrition program to ensure that learners from poor families have a decent meal. We welcome the fact that more than 2.5 million learners in quintals 1 and 3, including some quintile 4 and 5 schools as well as special schools, will continue to be provided with a balanced, nutritious meal. There is a budget of more than 2 billion for this purpose. So at some point in time, when we talk about budget, the texture of the budget at the end of the day, we must go in a tedious, calm way and analyze who must benefit out of this process. As these legislators who are accepted to be doing the lawmaking at the end of the day, who must also play that oversight role. Are we able to do that? I'm sure some of us, it will be a futile exercise that if we're here to stand, make more noise, even wanted decibels, who can make more noise. I don't think it will be fair for this democracy going forward. This is a continuation of clear program of action based on pro ANC policies from the 6th administration. We commend MEC Rogers for deploying resources to all government departments in line with pronouncement by the Premier Ntuli in the State of the Provincial Address. We want to thank Mpemba for ensuring that we guide. And we are mindful and factual that the circumstances and the retrospect of this 158 billion, it's not adequate. It's something that is well known. It's unfortunately how we get the funding. The appropriation bill comes from national. If you've got 3.5 trillion coming from national, even if you start from zero-based budgeting, there is nothing as a province you could do as a miracle. There is a reality. There is a backlog when it comes to human settlements, on building education, schools, on building infrastructure. But that backlog is not going to be just addressed by rhetoric. It will be a scientific tool and consistently ensuring that our stakeholders are taken into the pinnacle of understanding where we are as the government. So I'm sure we must just collaborate. More than 100 billion has been allocated to Central for the construction of roads network. Indeed, KwaZulu-Natal has been declared as the construction site. So we must just be mindful when it comes to those issues. Not so long ago, we listened attentively when Honorable Makubane spoke at highly, even advancing that Itala CEO is amongst the best CEO in the province, which we agreed in principle because he passed that state and he was amongst those. Today, unfortunately, from MKP, no, Itala failed dismal to present the budget with that CEO. So we are not sure, even when we're listening with our circumcised minds and ears, who should we listen to? So it's something that we just have to check. How do we balance such equations? And we are still listening attentively to all the debates going forward. So unfortunately that when we deliberate on these matters, we just always check this thing. Critically, we welcome the focus of the Health Department, which received 56.2 billion, an increase from 53 billion. So a member who thinks health received more than education, even arithmetically so, education has 60s, this one is 50. So listen to that tally and understand. But even in that spectrum, it is not yet adequate. It is something collectively that we must fight for. KwaZulu-Natal is in the trajectory and the journey, if we could all collaborate in ensuring that we support each other, critique each other whenever there is a need, by play that oversight role, come to portfolio committees. I want to thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you. Honorable members. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 16 minutes from the MK, Honorable M.A. Dirks. Honorable members, may I remind you, if you are debating, to please come to the podium ahead of your time. Thank you. Honorable Dirks.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, all present in the House, members in the